Hello and welcome. We're about to dive into the world of one of the great Tang Dynasty poets. But, before we analyze anything, I think it's best to just let the music of the poem itself set the stage. So just listen.
明月出天山，苍茫云海间。长风几万里，吹渡玉门关。汉下白登道，胡窥青海湾。由来征战地，不见有人还。戍客望边邑，思归多苦颜。高楼当此夜，叹息未应闲。
So what you just heard, that was Li Bai's Guan Shan Yue, which you could translate as The Moon Over the Mountain Pass. Now, this title wasn't something he just made up. It's actually an ancient folk ballad theme, a type of melody that was almost always used to talk about one thing, the deep, gut-wrenching sorrow of separation, usually because of war. So with that in mind, let's start to unpack how Li Bai masterfully builds that feeling, line by beautiful line. All right, so where does he start? Interestingly, not with a person. He starts with the landscape. These first four lines, wow, they paint this absolutely immense, almost cinematic picture of the frontier. And he's doing this for a very specific reason, to create not just a sense of place, but this overwhelming feeling of solitude, of being utterly alone. Here in the first line, the poet writes, 明月出天山，苍茫云海间. Which means a bright moon rises from the Tian Shan Mountains, among a boundless sea of clouds. Now, I want you to just picture this for a second. Imagine you're a soldier stationed way out on the frontier, looking back east, back towards your home. This is exactly what you'd see, the moon rising from behind those mountains. In just one line, Li Bai puts us right there, in that soldier's shoes. He's using this huge, majestic image to make one person's loneliness feel even bigger, even more profound. And he just keeps building on that feeling. Listen to this next line. 长风几万里，吹渡玉门关. The long wind blows for 10,000 miles, sweeping past the Jade Gate Pass. I mean, think about that. This isn't just a breeze. It's a wind that has traveled an almost impossible distance, right? You can almost feel it, crossing the entire empire just to get to this one lonely spot, the Jade Gate Pass. And what is it carrying with it? Well, you have to imagine it's carrying all the memories, all the longing, from a home that feels like it's on another planet. Okay, so he set this incredible, lonely atmosphere. Now watch what he does. He starts to layer human history right on top of this natural landscape. He's about to show us that this beautiful, vast, lonely place is also deeply scarred by centuries of war. Notice how this next image unfolds. Han armies descended the Biden Road, foreign horsemen eyed Qinghai Bay. Now, these aren't just random place names he pulled from a map. No way. They are like historical wounds. Baidang, for instance, is a direct callback to a famous, totally disastrous siege of a Han emperor that happened centuries before Li Bai. And Qinghai Bay? That was a constant, bloody battleground in his own time. So what's he doing? He's showing us that this sorrow, this conflict, it's not new. It's an ancient, repeating cycle that's literally carved into the land itself. And then he drops this absolutely devastating line. 由来征战地，不见有人还. From time immemorial, this has been a land of battle, from which no one is seen to return. Just let that sink in. The absolute finality of that statement is just chilling. This is a place that just swallows lives, one generation after another. The number of soldiers who actually make it back home is 0. None. That's the answer. And you can just feel the echo of that loss hanging in the cold mountain air, right under that same silent moon. So we've gone from this huge, sweeping shot of history and landscape, right? And now the poem's camera zooms in with just incredible intimacy. We're shifting from the big, collective tragedy of war to the very specific, very personal pain of a single soldier and the wife he had to leave behind. And this is where the poem just gets so brilliant, because it shows us both sides of this heartbreak. First, we're with the soldier. 戍客望边邑，思归多苦颜. The frontier guard gazes at the border town, his face etched with the sorrow of wanting to return. You can just see his face, can't you? And then, in this amazing leap of empathy, the poem's focus shifts to the person he's thinking of, his wife, all the way back home. 高楼当此夜，叹息未应闲. In a high tower on this very night, her sighs must surely never cease. I mean, think about it. They're thousands of miles apart, but they are perfectly, tragically united in their suffering, both looking up at the exact same moon. So why does this poem still hit so hard? 1,300 years later? What's the magic here? I think it's how Li Bai just masterfully weaves together these huge, epic ideas with these tiny, intimate moments. The landscape and the heart, the public and the private, it all becomes this single, seamless tapestry of emotion.
He uses the sheer vastness of nature not to make human feelings seem small, but to actually make them feel bigger, to amplify them. He shows us this endless, brutal cycle of war, but he always brings it back to the personal pain it causes one person, one family. Really, the core of this whole poem is that profound ache of separation. It's a feeling that becomes totally universal when you picture those two people worlds apart, connected only by the light of that single silent moon. And that's why this isn't just a poem about some specific war in the Tang Dynasty. It's about the very real human cost of all wars everywhere in all times.
And so the poem leaves us with this final kind of lingering thought. Through the music of his words and the pictures he paints, Li Bai somehow connects us directly to that ancient frontier. He's inviting us to listen past the silence, and to ask ourselves, what does a 1,300-year-old moon sound like? Maybe it sounds like a sigh.